Hello, and welcome to Module 3 of our first week. In this module, we're going to go look at the different things that you do in a project, the hard skills as we call them, the resources, scheduling, and all these different tools that you use like the Gantt chart, work breakdown structure, risk management tools, and look at how the two different models of communication, information transfer, and the emergence model can help you with these important tasks and how they can help create understanding.
And let's go ahead and get into defining communications. And in Module 3, I want to do another review of the project management communication tools that we often use as they refer to tasks, resources, and schedules. The purpose of this review is to kind of show you again how understanding is vital to project management success. So let me give you an example from one of my early days as an IT project manager. I was working on a ball bearings inventory control application. We were working for a company that made ball bearings, and they had factories worldwide. And this is when, and this of course kind of dates me a little bit, but this is when the portable computers were coming out. And you had these nice computers that you could use with a barcode reader that would scan the boxes of ball bearings as they came through. And that was how you kept up with the inventory, how you would track the inventory and what ball bearings were created and where they were going. Now, my challenge was in creating this application was try to make it universal and easy to work with. One of the concerns with this was that we had workers in all kinds of countries, different cultures. So we wanted to create an application that was very intuitive and had visual communication tools so that you didn't have to know the actual language that the application was written in, but you could look at the icons and tell what you needed to do. And as you can imagine, this took some real thought and work. One of the funny things to me, again, and I love this when I talk to folks about programming computers, when you look at the save icon, especially in the Microsoft Office, it's a floppy disk. It looks like a floppy disk. And I think it's been about 10 years since I've worked with a floppy disk. But we still have the save icon as a floppy disk as a holdover. So one of the things we were trying to do with our ball bearings inventory control application was think about what was universal. So I had a settings menu. So do I use a wrench? Do I use a set of gears? Or do I use like what we call the hamburger menu? So we had all these kind of different communication meetings about how we were to make this application work and how people from different cultures and different languages would understand what these different icons meant and how to use the application. We had one meeting where we sat there and talked about the tones we use. So it was a happy tone when you did a good scan versus a unhappy tone when the scan wasn't correct. So as you can see here, there was a lot of communication discussion around how do we help people understand this simple software application so that they can perform their task. When I talk about project management communication to my students, I like to start with the iron triangle of project management, and this is traditional project management. I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with this. There's scope, there's time, there's cost, and in the middle there's quality. And you've probably seen different variations on this. And what I impress upon the students is that even though we're talking about the scope of the project, what we're going to do, how long is it going to take us, that's the time aspect, and how much will it cost us, and what do we want to give to the customer at the end, the quality, a lot of communication is occurring throughout this process, this iron triangle. So when we talk about project management communication and we are taught, which is the information transfer model, I say there's a lot of information I'm transferring to everybody here. I'm transferring the project vision. I'm transferring the calendar. I'm transferring the budget. I'm talking about the quality. So we look at the task, the work breakdown structure, all these different tools, but embedded in there is the idea that we need to have understanding. Even though it may seem very straightforward about the budget, we still need to make sure there's an understanding about how we're going to use the budget and how we're going to make budget decisions. Let's take a look at 3 common project management communication tools. We have the work breakdown structure, the Gantt chart, and the risk assessment matrix.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying this free lesson from the University of Maryland's Project Management Center for Excellence. If you want to check out more lessons just like this one, click the link in the description below where you'll be able to go to our website on executive project management. There, you can find edX courses, professional short courses where you can learn from an instructor like me, as well as request custom team training for you and your organization. All right, let's get back to the lesson and I'll see you at the end.
Now with the information transfer model, you being able to see this and I'm being able to give it to you and you being able to read it back to me would imply that you actually understand what's going on. But as practicing project managers, you probably have run into situations where you've handed out a work breakdown structure to your team, and then you've had to do additional explanation because even though it looks apparent through the WBS, there's still some nuances and subtleties in there, and you need to work with your team so they fully understand the work packages, the task, and how they fit together, and how they're going to come to the final project product. Same idea with your Gantt chart. Looks pretty straightforward, but again, there's some subtleties and nuances and some ways of communicating on when tasks occur and what order should the task occur. What should you do if you have to have one task fast-tracked or you have to crash the schedule? So again, we need to determine, just because I can read the Gantt chart and I can tell you back what it says, I can't really guarantee I fully understand what you need. So let's take a look at your risk assessment matrix. This is one of my favorites here because I really enjoy project management risk management. And with the risk assessment matrix, again, I can have you look at this, repeat back to me what you think I'm saying, but again, there's understanding that we have to work with, and there's subtleties and nuances. And as you know, with risk management, sometimes we have to continually communicate because risks can migrate, they can evolve, they can develop, or they can go away. And we need to make sure that folks are understanding that there is risk out there, what kind of risk, and how to mitigate that risk. Even a simple idea of what does done look like on a project can have major ramifications on our understanding of it. For you program managers, you look at many project management and program management tools to determine what done looks like for your programs. But do we really understand what a completed program or project looks like? I love to use this example in my class of the Sydney Opera House. Now, you may know the history of the Sydney Opera House, that back in 1957 is when it was started, and it was estimated to be completed in January of 1963, and it was going to cost about, in modern terms, $7 million to create. Well, what happened is that the Sydney Opera House was actually completed, and there's some still discussion whether it was actually completed, in 1973, 10 years after the 1963 due date, and that its budget was 1,357% over the estimated budget. Now, would you say that the Sydney Opera House program is a failure or a success? Well, according to the Australian Commission that studied the Sydney Opera House, it was considered a failure at the beginning. The architect and the lead engineer was essentially banned from the country for years. And over time, though, people began to love the Opera House. It became an iconic landmark. Postcards, it's now considered a resounding success. And the lead architect and engineer was invited back in a ceremony acknowledging the success of the Sydney Opera House. The reason I bring that up is because when we look at the information transfer model of communication, we would consider the Sydney Opera House a failure. It was over budget, way behind on schedule, and did it meet the quality? Well, that's kind of subjective. We don't know. But if you look at the emergence model of communication, when understanding occurs between us and emerges out of the communications between folks, we go ahead and consider this a successful program.
Hey there, did you enjoy that lesson as much as I did? If you did, go ahead and give us a like. If you want to see another one, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, put them below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Moreover, is there somebody in your life who really needs this lesson right now? If so, go ahead and share it with them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Now, we look forward to seeing you in the next lesson where you can learn even more from the University of Maryland Project Management Center for Excellence. Thanks so much.